Tonight, very good news for some parents. Problem children may be able to outgrow their problems. Two new studies provide new hope for children with learning and behavior issues. I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, a hidden epidemic and a national tragedy.
I don't have my son anymore.
An investigation by CBS News uncovers an alarming number of suicides among America's military veterans. System failure. She gained access to some of America's top security secrets, even though her brother-in-law had known ties to terrorists. And getting psyched for the thrill of victory. Heard of the haka? It's the latest thing in pre-game rituals.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. Something special tonight, only one commercial, which gives us more time to bring you more news. And we begin with positive news about young children with learning and behavioral problems, including ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Nearly 4.5 million children have it, that inability to concentrate and focus. More than half are being treated with medication. And tonight, new research finds their futures can be a lot brighter than their parents may have feared. Here's Dr. John LaPook.
For the first time, researchers have shown how it's possible for children to grow out of ADHD as their brains grow up.
These are kids who don't have ADHD. This is the brains of kids that do.
Dr. Philip Shaw, a psychiatrist and lead author of the NIH study, says the findings may help settle a long-standing question over the nature of ADHD. Does the brain develop normally, but more slowly? Or does it develop abnormally?
We find that kids with ADHD, waves of childhood brain development were delayed by about 2 to 3 years in these kids.
Researchers compared the brain images of 223 kids with ADHD to 223 without the disorder. They found most of the action in the front of the brain, the area responsible for attention and impulse control. On average, the ADHD brain on the left shows about a 3 to 5 year lag in development compared to the normal one on the right. By mid-adolescence, that gap has narrowed, though there may still be lingering behavioral issues. There's more reassuring news today for parents. A study of 16,000 children found that disruptive kids in kindergarten were doing just as well academically by the 5th grade as well-behaved children. Take 20-year-old Laura Osnas, diagnosed with ADHD at age 5.
I knew I was different from the other kids because I couldn't sit still, I couldn't concentrate.
She's now a college student at Catholic University and thriving with a 3.6 GPA. The implication of these new findings? It's possible for children to catch up with the right kind of support.
It may mean that we have to just provide them with education and interventions that are timed differently.
For parents of these kids, it means time may be on your side.
So, John, what impact will this play in terms of medicating these children if some of them might, in fact, outgrow the condition?
Well, they may not necessarily totally outgrow it. Remember, this study looked at pictures of the brain, not at the underlying brain chemistry. So a lot of children and adolescents may do much better with medication. But what's exciting about this study to me is that it shows that the brains of these kids can actually develop normally, but maybe just at a slower rate.
That's right, and we shouldn't necessarily pigeonhole them.
That's
John
for
LaPook,
sure.
Thank you so much, John. Now to Wall Street, where there was a huge rally today. The Dow soared more than 300 points, or 2.5%. The NASDAQ was up nearly 90 points, or 3.5%. Anthony Mason is at the New York Stock Exchange. Anthony, things were really looking up there, literally.
Nice for a change. The Dow had its second best day of the year, Katie, and there were 3 big reasons why the bulls finally stampeded today. Walmart, the world's biggest retailer, first said profits were up nearly 8% in the past 3 months, and that it remains very encouraged about business over the holiday season. Second, oil fell more than $3 to 91 bucks a barrel. Remember, it was flirting with 100 bucks only a week ago. The reason for the sell-off? The International Energy Agency cut estimates for global demand, and a survey says OPEC is pumping more crude. Finally, 2 financial giants, JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs, said they didn't expect any major losses from the mortgage crisis. All of this was a recipe, Katie, for an explosive rally.
All right, Anthony Mason. Anthony, thank you. Another economic note, gasoline prices continue to rise. They're averaging $3.11 a gallon tonight, and the Energy Department now predicts they could jump another 20 cents by next month. Now, a very important CBS News investigation. A 5-month state-by-state survey by our investigative team has uncovered a troubling and tragic epidemic among our military veterans. An epidemic of suicide. Men and women taking their lives in startling numbers. Our chief investigative correspondent, Armin Katayan, has the story.
Pretty much the worst day of my life.
And I just felt like this silent scream inside of me.
I opened up the door, and there he was.
Ready. Then I saw the hose double looped around his neck.
Up and he was gone.
These former soldiers all served in Iraq, only to die battling an enemy they could not conquer. Their loved ones now speaking out in their names.
They survived the hell that's Iraq, and then they come home, only to lose their life.
23-year-old Marine reservist Jeff Lucy hanged himself with a garden hose in the cellar of his parents' home, where his father, Kevin, found him.
There's a crisis going on, and people are just turning the other way.
Kim and Mike Bowman's son, Tim, was an Army reservist who patrolled one of the most dangerous places in Baghdad, known as Airport Road.
His eyes, when he came back, were just dead. The light wasn't there anymore.
8 months later, on Thanksgiving Day, Tim shot himself. He was 23. Diana Henderson's son, Derek, served 3 tours in Iraq. He died jumping off a bridge at 27.
Going to that morgue and seeing my baby, my life will never be the same.
Beyond the individual loss, it turns out little information exists about just how widespread suicides are among those who have served in the military.
1, 2, 3.
There have been some studies, but no one has ever counted the numbers nationwide.
Nobody wants to tally it up in the form of a government total.
Why do you think that is?
Because they don't want the true number of casualties to really be known.
They are suffering so much.
Senator Patty Murray is a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee.
If you're just looking at the overall number of veterans themselves who have committed suicide, we have not been able to get the numbers.
We wanted the numbers, so we submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to the Department of Defense, asking for the numbers of suicides among all service members for the past 12 years. 4 months later, they sent us this document showing that between 1995 and 2007, there were almost 2,200 suicides, 188 last year alone. But these numbers included only active duty soldiers. We then went to the Department of Veterans Affairs, where Dr. Ira Katz is the head of mental health.
There is no epidemic of suicide in VA, but suicide is a major problem.
Why hasn't the VA done a national study seeking national data on how many veterans have committed suicide in this country?
That research is ongoing.
So we did our own investigation, asking all 50 states for their suicide data based on death records for veterans and non-veterans dating back to 1995. 45 states sent us what turned out to be a mountain of information, and what it revealed was stunning. In 2005, for example, in just those 45 states, there were at least 6,256 suicides among those who served in the armed forces. That's 120 each and every week in just 1 year.
We can see again the pattern of higher rates among the veterans than the non-veterans.
Dr. Steve Rathbun is the acting head of the Biostatistics Department at the University of Georgia. We asked him to run a detailed analysis of the numbers that we obtained from state authorities for 2004 and 2005. We found that veterans were more than twice as likely to commit suicide in 2005 than non-vets. One group stood out, veterans 20 to 24, those who have served during the War on Terror. They had the highest suicide rate among all veterans, estimated between 2 and 4 times higher than civilians the same age, at rates from 23 to 32 per 100,000 people, versus just 8 for non-vets.
Wow, those are devastating.
Paul Sullivan, a former VA analyst, is now an advocate for veterans' rights.
Those numbers clearly show an epidemic of mental health problems.
We're determined to decrease veteran suicides.
6,256 in 2005, 120 a week. Is that a problem, Dr. Katz?
You bet it's a problem.
Is it an epidemic, Dr. Katz?
You know, veterans, I had mentioned that returning...
Yes or no, Dr. Katz? Is it an epidemic?
Suicide in America is an epidemic, and that includes veterans.
These statistics tell me that we have really failed the people who served our country.
Do those numbers serve as a wake-up call for this country?
If these numbers don't wake up this country, nothing will. We each have a responsibility to make sure that the men and women who serve us aren't lost when they come home.
Armin, this is so disturbing. So why, bottom line, hasn't the VA done more to track these numbers and help these veterans, especially those young ones?
Well, Katie, our sense from all the reporting we've done nationwide, they just don't want to look, because if they found what we found, they would have to deal with it, and they just don't want to deal with it. Tomorrow night, we'll take a really hard look at the VA, Katie.
All right, Armin Gatayan. Armin, thank you so much. For much more on this story, the warning signs for suicide, and where people at risk can find help, you can go to cbsnews.com and click on CBS Evening News. Now, the financial costs of war. Congressional Democrats released a report today that says when you factor in such things as treating wounded veterans and interest payments, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have already cost the U.S. economy $1.6 trillion. And the report says that by 2017, it could grow to $3.5 trillion. Under that scenario, the economic impact on the average American family would come to more than $46,000. Late today, a White House spokesperson called the Democrats' report politically motivated. Now to a criminal case that's causing a lot of soul searching at the FBI and CIA. A former agent whose brother-in-law is linked to a terror group pleaded guilty today to illegally searching the FBI database. She wasn't charged with spying, but the case raises serious questions about the security of top secret files in the war on terror. Here's Bob Orr.
For the past 8 years, first as an FBI agent, then as an employee of the CIA, Nada Prouty had access to some of the nation's top security secrets. But the Lebanese-born woman seen today leaving court in Detroit admitted she faked a marriage to gain the U.S. citizenship required to hold those sensitive intelligence jobs. Now federal investigators question whether she gave privileged information to a brother-in-law with known terrorist ties. In pleading guilty to conspiracy and fraud charges, Prouty admitted snooping into FBI case files on the Iran-backed terror group Hezbollah that she had no authority to access. In an indictment, the government charged the defendant violated FBI policy and took an unknown quantity of classified information home with her. She allegedly searched databases for her name, the name of her sister, and that of her brother-in-law Talil Shaheen, a fugitive who spoke at a fundraising rally in Lebanon, right alongside Hezbollah's one-time spiritual leader, Sheikh Fadlallah. Officials say it's unclear if Prouty passed on unauthorized information, and they don't believe she was an agent purposely dispatched by Hezbollah to infiltrate U.S. intelligence.
Clearly something was broken in the system that allowed her to get in, to maintain that type of access for an extended period of time.
As part of her guilty plea, Prouty has resigned her CIA job and forfeited her citizenship. Now she's promising to cooperate as the government tries to assess how much damage she may have done. Bob Orr, CBS News, Washington.
Overseas tonight, the crisis in Pakistan continues. The Bush administration is sending the State Department's #2 there on Friday. John Negroponte is expected to tell President Musharraf in person to end the state of emergency and allow fair elections. Meanwhile, opposition leader Benazir Bhutto remains under house arrest in Lahore, but she's not keeping quiet, and neither are her supporters. Sheila McVicker is there.
Chanting, Prime Minister Benazir and long live Bhutto, supporters of the opposition leader were dragged off to prison today. Police scuffled with small groups of demonstrators in the teeming southern city of Karachi. And in Lahore, 3 of Benazir Bhutto's supporters were arrested after they set a car alight packed with a gas canister. To keep one woman at home, thousands of police surrounded a mile-long suburban block to make sure that this time Bhutto had no chance of escaping house arrest. Instead, she was working the phones, seeming to slam the door shut on any collaboration with General Musharraf, and for the first time, demanding he step down as president.
It's time for General Musharraf to leave, simply leave.
But Bhutto and other opposition leaders have so far failed to ignite mass protests. The basic reason, most Pakistanis are too fearful of losing their livelihoods to risk arrest. And so the calculation of diplomats and others is that without the streets on fire, Musharraf will survive. Ultimately, Musharraf's power lies with the army, and the army is standing by him.
He enjoys army's support, which is very crucial in Pakistani politics. But things can change.
Whatever happens, Bhutto is a key player with a genuine power base. Harvard-educated, viewed by the West as a moderate, she has been Prime Minister of Pakistan twice, and twice dismissed for corruption and incompetence. She and her husband face corruption charges in Europe.
There is a perception of wrongdoing. There's a perception of corruption.
Some Pakistanis remember too well the failures of the past. For every rapturous supporter we have seen, we've watched dozens stand indifferent to Bhutto or turn their backs. She's a very complicated figure and one who right now may be inadvertently helping U.S. strategy for a peaceful transition to democracy in Pakistan unravel. Katie?
Sheila, meanwhile, does General Musharraf have any popular support given what's transpired over recent days? And how does his support compare to that of Benazir Bhutto's?
There's no question the general is much weakened. He was warned that if he declared an emergency, it would weaken him politically, and that does seem to be playing out. Benazir Bhutto, whichever way it comes out, will be a key player in this election if it goes ahead.
Sheila McVicker reporting tonight from Pakistan. Sheila, thank you. There is much more CBS News ahead, including everything you wanted to know about politics today as we open up our campaign notebook and learning how to haka your way to victory. After this, our only commercial break tonight.
Tonight's limited sponsorship of the CBS Evening News is brought to you by Pfizer.
In the presidential campaign, Republican Fred Thompson is calling for a 1 million-member ground force. That tops our Campaign 08 notebook. Speaking today at the Citadel, the military college in South Carolina, Thompson proposed adding 300,000 troops to the Army and Marines.
We must build a military force ready to meet any challenge now and be prepared to protect later generations from any future threats.
Fellow Republican Mitt Romney said today he sees no reason for the Bush administration's policy against taking photographs of the caskets of soldiers killed in action. But he said he'd want to hear both sides before changing that policy. Meanwhile, Democrat John Edwards debuted a new campaign ad in Iowa. It spotlights his threat to Congress on health insurance.
If you don't pass universal health care by July of 2009, in 6 months, I'm going to use my power as president to take your health care away from you.
And finally, Republican Ron Paul has set December 16th as the date for his next internet fundraising blitz. He raised a record $4 million in 24 hours last week. He hopes to more than double that. Just 51 days now till the first votes are cast in the presidential campaign in the Iowa caucuses. And a CBS News New York Times poll out tonight finds Democrats Clinton, Obama, and Edwards are neck and neck and neck. On the Republican side, the surprise is Huckabee, now in striking distance of Romney. In New Hampshire, the first primary state, Clinton has a 15-point lead over Obama. Edwards is way back. Among Republicans, Romney has an 18-point lead over both McCain and Giuliani. But we present these numbers with a word of caution. They can change in an instant. Here's our senior political correspondent, Jeff Greenfield.
She's unstoppable. She's invincible.
No. You thought it made sense to do it.
No, I didn't, Chris.
No, wait. She's in deep trouble. A bad debate 2 weeks ago triggered an avalanche of bad reviews.
Those two different answers in 1 minute and boom, the poof.
Then the polls began to drop.
She had a 20-point lead. It's down about half to that.
Every mishap became a portent. Look, the flags are falling. And for the first time, the talk about Hillary turned chilly.
She's in a slump, Dan.
And it's not just Senator Clinton.
What is up with Barack Obama?
For more than a year, 24-hour political news coverage has been obsessing over every line of every debate, every YouTube video, every slip of the tongue.
So just look at what Barack Obama said.
Fred Thompson's energy level.
Do you think you're working hard enough to win this thing? Yeah.
Barack Obama's posture during the national anthem.
Hello, dear.
Rudy Giuliani's cell phone habits. Inflating every event or non-event as if every one were a matter of cataclysmic consequence. Why? In part, newer technologies have accelerated a long journalistic tradition of hyperventilation.
Bloggers post many times a day. There's a lot of empty airspace on cable news that's filled by talkers. So, into the vacuum comes a great deal of speculation.
And this echo chamber feeds on the polls that are now churned out almost by the hour, measuring judgments the voters themselves say are tentative. For instance, in the latest CBS New York Times poll, more than half the Iowa caucus goers say they could change their minds. But that is no match for a conflict-hungry media.
There is absolutely no question that the press want to make sure that there is a race.
Chris Lehane was Al Gore's campaign press secretary.
And every speed bump that you run into literally becomes an enormous brick wall that you have to get around.
And when you remember that election after election, primary voters decide very late, when you remember that 4 years ago, Howard Dean was the all-but-crowned nominee and John Kerry was on the brink of oblivion, you wonder why we in the press so often act like kids in the back seat of a car as the family sets out on vacation, demanding to know, are we there yet? No, we're not, Katie.
To be continued. Jeff Greenfield. Jeff, thank you. In other news, the Southeast has been dry as dust for months now. Tennessee and North Carolina have not seen drought conditions this bad in 113 years. Georgia's supply of drinking water is under constant threat, and now the governor is leading an appeal to a higher power. Mark Strassman reports from Atlanta.
After 20 months of drought, Georgia's in the market for a miracle.
God, we need you. We need rain.
Sonny Perdue, Georgia's governor, today became the state's chief pastor. He led a prayer for rain right on the front lawn of the State House. Lake Lanier, North Georgia's main source of drinking water, has dropped more than 17 feet below normal. So low, boaters have to walk way out to get in.
Water's that low.
This year, the lake's had barely half its typical rainfall. In a very public way, Perdue looked to the sky for answers.
We do believe in miracles. We do believe that you are the miracle creator.
It's a public disgrace.
Ed Bruckner wants rain too. But like these protesters, mostly atheists and agnostics, Bruckner sees a clear church-state violation, a public prayer on state property led by Georgia's top executive.
My public leader is making a fool of himself.
In desperate droughts, praying for rain goes back thousands of years, from this African tribal group to Indian rain dancers. In a growing crisis, the state's tried water bans, and now the power of prayer.
Thank you, Lord, for the rain to come.
Georgians can debate the church-state issue, but no one argues the need for significant rain. And so far, it's one prayer that has gone unanswered. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Atlanta.
From prayers to war dances now, forget pep talks, pom-poms, and bonfires. Deep in the heart of football-crazy Texas, the big game can't start without a very special and unique ritual. Hari Srinivasan is about to introduce you to the haka.
As the Trinity Trojans rush onto the football field every Friday night, the drummers drum, the cheerleaders cheer, and the players dance? This is the haka, an ancient war dance from the fierce Maori tribes of New Zealand, now a football ritual in Texas.
For me, it gets me pumped up a lot. If you're gonna do it, you gotta be serious about getting ready for war.
And it's not just you gotta get ready for war.
Yes, sir.
Polynesian players introduced the haka to their teammates 2 years ago. Trinity won the state championship that year, and they've been dancing ever since, making bruising hits and beautiful catches.
Number 84, Tapa Toi Moi Peao.
That tongue twister is a Tongan last name. Number 84's mom, Martha, is convinced the haka helps.
So you think the haka has something to do with it?
Oh, yeah. He was shy at first.
On the field, the haka dance is a source of inspiration for one of the best high school football teams in Texas. Off the field, it's a source of pride for a tight-knit community. From their tiny Polynesian homeland, thousands of Tongans have moved to Texas to take advantage of airline jobs at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport and the flight privileges home that come with them. So many Tongans, they even have their own television program. The haka is another point of pride, a reassuring symbol that they aren't on the sidelines anymore.
Reassurance that we are part of, from the outside world, that we are part of this country, or this community. Reassurance that they accept us as we are.
And it's not just Texas. The haka is a worldwide phenomenon. In New Zealand, the national All Blacks rugby team has been doing the dance for decades. College teams from Hawaii to Utah fire up fans with their own versions. And on YouTube, there's even a team of gingerbread men doing the haka as a commercial for a New Zealand bakery. No matter who does it, they do it all out. You went horse doing it.
Oh. Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't pull the muscle.
It just may become the new Friday Night Lights battle cry. Hari Srinivasan, CBS News, Euless, Texas.
See, anybody can haka. That is the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric. We thank the single sponsor of tonight's broadcast. And of course, we thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.